That big boss less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
What's up, guys, and welcome to Level 2 Bargain Basement. You'll notice something a little bit different about today, namely the fact that I am by myself. Keegan is not here with me. He has prior engagements, so I'm all on my lonesome for this one. It's going to be fine, I promise you. I'm still going to get through all of that news, all those sales, all those new releases in a timely manner. If you're listening, I'm sorry I don't have anyone to bounce off of. I know my voice can be monotone and annoying if you listen to it for too long. It's a temporary solution. We don't really have a choice, so like it or lump it, I guess. But I'd like to dig in today to our bargain basement and start with the news section. There's been some interesting things this week. There's been quite a lot, so buckle in. The first thing which sort of struck me earlier in the week that I came across was this really fascinating piece of news about Zelda Breath of the Wild. So Zelda has these little, I guess, Korok seeds, I think they're called, K-O-R-O-K, and you can collect these Korok seeds. There's about 900 or so of them, and one person actually finally got them all, which is pretty impressive. If you've ever tried to collect all the sort of small things in like a GTA or whatever, it takes a long time. And they finally got to the end, and the prize was quite literally a piece of shit. Not like figuratively, like literally, it was a piece of shit. They got all the Korok seeds, all that hard work, and you get a little sort of, I think it's like a, I don't know if it's like golden poop or some special kind of poop, but the guy that gave you the quest gives you some poop. And that's really all I have to say about that. I just thought it was fantastic. It's one of the more interesting prizes in modern history in a video game, especially for the amount of fucking effort that you have to put in to collect 900 of anything in a video game. So you can look that up and see what the prize looks like for yourself. I don't know if it opens like a special door down the line or something, or attracts special flies, or I have no idea. Moving on, some of the better pieces of news for PS Plus members. There was a game that was announced a little bit further back there at like E3. It was called Drawn to Death, and Drawn to Death is this kind of weird, sketchy art style. It's a free roaming third person multiplayer battle game, and it looked interesting. I actually got into the beta of it. I played it for a bit. I thought it was okay. Not really my type of thing, but for what it is, it's done quite well. The aesthetic is definitely interesting. One of the interesting things that's happened this week is that they've actually announced that it's going to be free to all PS Plus members. So instead of dropping, $10-20 or whatever on that game, if you were interested in it, if you have a PS Plus account, which, let's be honest, if you have a PlayStation, you probably do, then you're going to get that game for free, which I thought was kind of interesting. So if you don't know anything about Drawn to Death, I'll try and leave a trailer in the comments so you can check it out and see what you think about it. But that's going to be free for all PS Plus members. So I thought that was a fun bit of news to share with you. Moving on, we have, this is a piece that Keegan actually sent me, so he is here in spirit. That is that they are making a Disney Afternoon Collection, and the Disney Afternoon Collection, from what I understand, is a remastering of gem-style games from the NES era. 6 remastered Disney Afternoon classics to be complete. We're talking about HD makeovers of let's see here, Darkwing Duck, Tailspin, DuckTales, and Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. And some of them have like sequels as well. I think DuckTales and Rescue Rangers have sequels too. So they are like remasters of the NES games, and they're still probably going to play quite simply, but it's kind of interesting. Keegan was very excited about it. He texted me about it, and he was pretty stoked on it. I just like the idea that they're doing these kind of like bundles of older games together, especially for retro consoles that are not easy to come by. If you try and pick up like a Nintendo nowadays, you're probably looking at very least $100, if not more, to pick up a NES, and then you have to go and find the games. And some of these games are very, very hard to track down. So I do enjoy that they are doing these kind of remasters of older games for people from my generation. But if you're into Disney and if you watch Disney cartoons as a kid, it should be interesting for you. So that's the Disney Afternoon Collection, if you want to Google it. Coming on the back of that, take this as vague news. This is not really news. This is kind of like, this might be a thing. So it's a hint, almost. Something that I struck across this morning. It looks like potentially they're trying to make a Pokemon game for the Switch. That's I mean, that's huge news if it's true. We don't know 100% yet. What the kind of rumor mill is saying is that Game Freaks, who make the original sort of, like, I guess, classic Pokemon games, have put out an advert hiring for people to help them build for, and I quote, a globally popular RPG game. So Game Freak are just, they put out this message. They're like, you need to have some background in this, this, and this. We need your help making a globally popular RPG game. Considering their history, there's not really a lot else that they did that I would consider to be a globally popular RPG game. So if it is them taking this on, by even saying those words, they've kind of self-admitted that this is what they're looking at. So I think that would be a huge win for Nintendo. I think that Zelda is obviously a win for Nintendo. Mario is to be determined for Nintendo, but hopefully it's good. But I think a lot of people have been gagging for some kind of like super HD makeover of the Pokemon series on a major console. And not least to mention that you can take it with you wherever as well. So, you know, people are having fun taking Zelda with them, but Zelda is not the perfect travel companion game, let's be honest. It's a pretty long, sort of winded game. It's not really a game you do in short spurts. Pokemon, I think, is easier to do in short spurts. That might be a personal preference, but yeah, I just kind of thought that was interesting to sort of throw out there. So I'm not confirming it. I'm just saying that keep your eye on it, because it looks like we might get a big announcement here at some point in the future. Moving on from that, this is something that I'm sort of deferring away from our usual topics like consoles, and I'm doing a little bit of news for PC for you, and only because it's so awesome, because normally I wouldn't do this. So the PC right now, there's a group or a team of modders that are working on trying to bring the entirety of the Red Dead Redemption map to GTA 5 on PC, which I think is fantastic. There's obviously GTA 5 is a very mod-heavy community. There's a lot to do there, not least in terms of like the hyper-realistic graphic stuff, which is always sort of amazing. But the trying to bring the entirety of Red Dead, like map-wise, over to that game is an undertaking and a half. So I wouldn't expect it anytime soon, but there are screenshots that you can get online, and they're definitely putting a lot of work into it. Now, I don't know like whether they're going to try and recreate missions or anything. I think that would be a little too far, but they just kind of wanted to have the map, so you could be a character from GTA 5 running around in the Red Dead world, or you know, at least in sort of houses and deserts and things like that. So interesting news, I thought anyway. So if you're into Red Dead, if you're into GTA 5, keep an eye for that mod. If you have a PC, should be a good time. This one's for Jordan. So Dark Souls 3 is getting a patch. They have a DLC coming out here pretty soon. The Dark Souls 3 DLC is on its way, so they decided to lay the groundwork with it. But with the groundwork, they actually added a few things. So the DLC is, I believe, the Ringed City, which a lot of people are stoked about. And what they decided to do was give you, let's see here, some of the biggest changes are a frame rate upgrade for PS4 Pro. So if you have a Pro, you are going to notice a significant update to the frame rate of it, and should look a lot smoother. A buff to heavy armor and a nerf to poison damage, which is kind of interesting. But there's also going to be some new PvP maps as well. I think there's 2 new maps as well. So you're looking at a couple like nerfs and buffs, a couple new maps for the PvP, and pro support. So there's, you know, as far as like a small little patch goes, that's quite a lot of stuff to throw in there. It's all free, of course, and it's sort of paving the way for that Ring City DLC to come down the line later. So good news for pro owners. Moving on from that, there's a little bit of Overwatch news for you. This isn't, again, it's one of those kind of like, they've said it's going to happen, but it's not really set in stone yet, but it has been officially confirmed. A Blizzard spokesman said that they would love to bring a map creator to Overwatch. They've already been messing around with assets a little bit. The problem is this is a whole new engine, so for them to create a map editor is going to be difficult. It's going to be something that takes a lot of time. So they've actually said, like, as far as long game plan for Overwatch, it's something they definitely want to bring to it. They're looking at it. They're trying to figure out the best way to do it, and they've kind of said that yes, it is going to happen. They're going to have a map creator. So if you're a big Overwatch fan, that should be happening sometime, I guess, in the next year or two. But it'd be exciting if they could bring that to Overwatch. I personally not a big fan of Overwatch. I know Keegan loves it. I know a lot of you guys love it. It's just not my style of game. But I think that if you could create your own maps, that would make it a little bit more interesting. It's kind of an old school thing to do as well. There's not really a lot of good map creators anymore. I know Doom tried to do it and stuff, but it takes so much effort. But there are some people out there that really, really love these games, and they make these incredible maps. And so that might be the hair that breaks the camel's back. I might actually jump on if that happens. So I guess we'll see. Another bit of news, and this is going to be our last bit of actual news for this week. This is exciting to me. Assassin's Creed Empire, which is allegedly the next Assassin's Creed game's name, has kind of surfaced as a possibility of being released before the end of the year. So a Swiss retailer actually put up on their site that you could order or pre-order Assassin's Creed Empire. Then and there. They didn't have any box art. They didn't have any, anything really. But they put it up on the site, and the release date was pre-end of the year. So they took it down pretty swiftly afterwards. But that was when it went up, it was kind of like, oh, wait a second, is that supposed to be there? An Empire, if you don't know, is based in Egypt, which is pretty much the only thing anyone knows about it at this point. Everyone's desperate for some nuggets of information. If you remember, Ubisoft got on this kind of crazy cycle of releasing Assassin's Creeds over and over and over, to the point where they definitely sort of, I guess, they sort of watered down the franchise, and it just became like, oh, here's another one, and this time you can ride horses or whatever. And I think it's nice for them to take a break. Allegedly, this is a whole new shift in the paradigm of that type of game. It's supposed to be completely something new. Obviously, it's going to keep core mechanics, but it's supposed to be kind of as big of a jump as Assassin's Creed 2 was to Assassin's Creed 1, which, in my opinion, was one of the biggest jumps in quality and standard in any video game sequel in history. I remember Assassin's Creed 1 being like having the right roots to it, but it was so repetitive, and it was so kind of, oh, here we go again with the same three things. Assassin's Creed 2 just said, all right, let's take all of these extra things and throw them in here, and they just made it so much more accessible. So hopefully the fact that they can take their time with this one, they stop this yearly cycle business, means that we should see something really impressive. But if this is true, we could even see it before the end of the year. So that's the news for you, the news roundup for this week in Bargain Basement. Stay tuned, and we're going to tell you about the Xbox Live sales.